Hello everyone, Ramsey from Temecula Auto Repair and Transmission. We're about 2/3 of the way through August and the temperature outside is 101 degrees. So what better day than today to talk about your car's AC system? Obviously the main purpose behind your car's AC system is to create a comfortable interior, comfortable cabin for you guys to ride in. And that's done by cooling the cabin and dehumidifying the cabin. The main component that's inside the car, in fact, the only AC component that's inside the car behind the dashboard, is your system's evaporator. That evaporator has air flowing through its fins and the air comes out of your vents cold. At the same time, it's pulling moisture out from inside the cabin and dehumidifying the interior, thereby creating that comfortable ride that you so much enjoy. The functionality of the AC system and the various components. Start by talking about the refrigerant. The refrigerant is what circulates through your AC system, and its primary purpose is to go back and forth between a liquid state and a gas state and remove heat from inside your car. One thing to keep in mind is your AC system is a closed system. It's sealed. So unless you have a leak, there's no reason to lose refrigerant. Now, the various components in the system to start with would be the air conditioning compressor. The compressor, as its name insinuates, compresses the refrigerant. A lot of people refer to refrigerant as Freon. That's the old R12 refrigerant. Today, we have R134A and R1234YF as refrigerants. That refrigerant is compressed in your compressor and comes out as a gas and goes into the condenser. It's a high pressure gas, high heat gas. When it comes out of the compressor, goes into your condenser. Your condenser is behind the grill of the car. You can't really see it here, but it's just right inside behind the grill. And there, as you're driving, of course, air is flowing through that condenser. There's also the radiator fan that's behind the radiator that also serves to suck more air through the grill and pull that air through the condenser. The condenser will convert the refrigerant into a liquid and then comes out the other end and goes into the receiver dryer. The receiver dryer serves as a filter to remove some impurities or primarily moisture or liquid from the refrigerant so it doesn't damage the rest of the components in the system as it comes out of the condenser. From there, some vehicles have an orifice tube, some vehicles have a expansion valve. The refrigerant will go through either the orifice tube or the expansion valve and then make its way to the inside of your dashboard. And that is, as I said a moment ago, where your evaporator is housed. When the refrigerant is inside that evaporator, the blower motor that is inside your dashboard, that's the motor that you turn on, the fan motor that you hear when you're in your car and you have your AC running, that is blowing air through the evaporator. So it's taking the cool refrigerant or the cold that's created by the refrigerant and blowing it in the form of air that comes out of your vents. And that is what you feel as cool air coming out of your vents. There is no refrigerant that comes out of the vents. Again, this is a sealed system and the refrigerant is contained inside the system. As I said a moment ago, also, part of the evaporator's job is to dehumidify the interior of the car. So while cold air is blowing through the vents, warm, humid air is getting sucked into the evaporator and drained out of the car, out of the system. A lot of times you'll come home, you'll park your car after you've been running your AC, and you'll see on the ground, typically on the right side of the vehicle, water flowing out. That's the moisture that came out of the interior of the car, the cabin of the car. That's the humidity that comes out in the form of water and is dispelled out of the car through a tube that's connected to that evaporator. As far as failures in your AC system, what we most commonly see are leaks. There is this misconception that if your air conditioning system is not blowing cold, which is the most common symptom that our customers experience, thereby knowing there's a problem with their AC, but the misconception is that they just need a system recharge. It's a misconception because the AC system is a sealed system, it's a closed system, and there's no reason to lose refrigerant unless there is a leak. So when a customer calls and says, hey, I need a refrigerant recharge, we kind of stop everything in its tracks and say, first we need to check it out and see if we can find any leaks. As I said, most typically, that's the common problem that we see is leaks in the system. There are some times where we don't necessarily find leaks because they're just so small and so minute. In those instances, we end up replacing the Schrader valves, which is the most vulnerable point that we see in these AC systems. We recharge the system, we introduce dye into the system, so if a leak continues to occur, we then can pinpoint that leak by seeing where the dye ejected out of there. Other problems we see with the AC systems is compressor failures and clutch failures. The clutch is a device that's actually attached to the front of the compressor, and it turns the compressor on and off. It'll cycle the compressor on and off. So if you start experiencing warm air or not cold air coming out of your AC system, obviously there's a problem. Time to bring it in, have us take a look at it. If it's out of refrigerant, we try to find out why. We look for leaks and pursue those leaks. There's other times where we see some pretty odd problems. This vehicle right here has an AC system that's working perfectly. There's no problems with it. It operates normally. The driver's side has nice and cold air coming out. The passenger side has heat coming out of it. It's a dual climate control system where you can vary the temperatures one side to the other. And while both sides are set to AC and at the lowest temperature, the heater is stuck on the passenger side. And the cause of that is a blend door actuator. The blend door is the flap inside the dashboard that controls the temperature based on your settings. So if you set it to heat on one side and to cold on the other, in this dual system here, the blend door on the passenger side turns to heat. And it's malfunctioning at this point, and it's got heat stuck on all the time, regardless of where the temperature is set. As far as any maintenance tips that you can do on your own, just kind of poke around under the hood, look at some of the AC lines, see if there's a little bit of oil residue on there. That could be an indication of a leak, where it might be losing refrigerant slowly and that sort of thing. There really is not a prescribed maintenance for the AC system, not like changing your oil is prescribed every so many miles or anything like that. However, when you do come in, we will kind of make sure the AC system is operating normally and make absolutely sure all the components look like they're doing their job. So just an inspection periodically is a good idea to make sure the AC system is functioning. One note with regards to that, if your AC system does stop blowing cold, it's important to get in right away. If you just sprung a leak somewhere in the AC system, just to use that as an example, and you've lost the refrigerant, delaying that repair could eventually damage components that are not yet damaged by having the system run without refrigerant. So when should you seek professional help as far as the AC system is concerned? Really, the minute you detect any trouble. If it's not blowing cold, or if you're hearing unusual noises when the air conditioner's on, perhaps the compressor's starting to make some unusual noises. We do get that from time to time, where a customer will come in and say, hey, I'm hearing this weird noise under my hood, and it's the AC compressor. So it's a good idea to get in right away when you experience some kind of a problem of that nature. Just to kind of summarize and wrap it up, the AC system is a sealed system. I can't emphasize that enough. So many people think that if they are experiencing a problem with the AC system, all it needs is a quote-unquote service. There really isn't a service. There's a repair or a detection of a problem and then solving that problem. So if you experience anything in your AC system, not blowing cold, unusual noises, perhaps a foul smell, something of that nature, we urge you to come in right away. Give us a call at 951-699-3332, or you can book an appointment online at TemeculaAutoRepair.com.